Hello everyone, thanks so much for watching, it means a lot to me, and welcome to my review of The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug. And remember, this is just my opinion, and my opinion isn't the right opinion, just my opinion. I would love to hear your opinion in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this video and channel. Also, remember that movies were made to connect, and that's one of the reasons that I upload these videos. Hope you enjoy. So, this is a continuation of the very anticipated first Hobbit movie, and follows the journey of Bilbo Baggins, Gandalf, and the 13 Dwarves on their adventure to reclaim back Erebor from Smaug the dragon. So, as you know, with the first Hobbit movie, I think that it did have some good moments. Like, some moments gave me some serious chills.
Radagast has seen...
Radagast? Do not speak to me of Radagast the Brown. He's a foolish fellow.
Well, he's odd, I grant you. He lives a solitary life.
It's not that. It's his excessive consumption of mushrooms. They've addled his brain and yellowed his teeth.
Oh, the chills. And I found that the scenery in the first movie was beautiful, but sadly I wasn't the biggest fan of the first movie. I find that it should have been a bit more concise with its plot that I was trying to tell. For example, focusing more on Smaug rather than Azog. So in this film, how do I feel? Well, the scenery in this movie is also beautiful. There's some beautiful shots. One early on in the film relating to some butterflies. That shot was beautiful. The cinematography in these movies are great. They really leap off the screen at certain times, and they make you feel like you're being drawn into the world. And that's what I find these movies do so well. Like, yep, you're back in Middle Earth, and you're like, yay! And yes, I find that this movie is a significant improvement over the first one. First of all, it feels like this was part of the story that was wanted to be told. It has some stronger character, it has better pacing, better action, and that's what I like. There's a larger sense of dread, and there's a larger sense of world building in this movie. But sadly, this movie isn't a perfect movie. It does have a few flaws, but remember, this is just my opinion. Definitely still at times I find that sometimes there are some parts that could detract from the main story and premise of this movie. In here it's definitely better because I would say that a quarter of the movie is dedicated to Smaug and actually meeting him in the main premise, which is good, but just the things leading up to there at times could still feel that it could detract from the main story, and some of them were made for references, which could also muddle this movie on telling its own cohesive story. Like, Gandalf has to go to this place in Mirkwood called Dol Guldur. That could definitely muddle the story from telling its own cohesive story, and it could detract from the main story as well, sadly, and make you sometimes forget about the main goal and premise if there's too many. But here in this movie it's definitely better, but it's definitely still here at times. Even in the final quarter, they have to deal with some of these orcs, and there's like drama in Lake Town with Azog. I find that all of the Azog stuff could have been chopped off just to make it a clear premise. Here it's also better because Smaug's in this movie, and Benedict Cumberbatch's performance as Smaug is really good, as well as everyone's doing a good job. Because there's Smaug, and you can focus a bit more on the main premise. As well, sadly, some of the romance in this movie could feel a bit forced, and I didn't find was the most necessary, sadly, because, well, I felt there was a bit rushed, and there's little, sadly, chemistry between Killy and a new elf, Toriel, who was actually pretty fine with it. Just didn't feel like their story exactly progressed the main premise, or it could feel a bit rushed. Let's talk a bit about Legolas being in this movie. I mean, it was good to see Legolas again. Unpopular opinion, well, Legolas is really cool, like so awesome. I find that his character in the Lord of the Rings wasn't exactly the most developed, but here, I guess it was fun to see his arc from becoming like just a warrior to a bit more kind-hearted in The Lord of the Rings. The only problem is I don't exactly find that we needed his backstory here in a Hobbit movie. It could also distract from the main premise. As well, same thing. I find that the CGI here was too clean. Like, the video quality was too high. Sometimes it could remove a big sense of grit. I find that some of the things in here should have gotten a bit more detail and realism. In The Lord of the Rings, if you look at Lothlorien, it could feel real because the way it's designed, it does feel a bit mystical and magical, but it's believable. When you look at Mirkwood, it just looks more believable and has a big sense of scare just because it's real things rather than CGI, which is one of the downsides of CGI. But overall, I found this movie was better, even though at times it could still feel like you're stretched out with different plot lines. And overall, I'll give The Hobbit, The Desolation of Smaug a C+. Quick soundtrack review. And I think the soundtrack still sadly didn't capture the main feel of The Lord of the Rings, but it's still pretty good. Some of the action cues could feel a bit generic at times, but there was one song in particular. It's called Beyond the Forest. Do me a favor, listen to this song. You will cry. It gets me. The music here is beautiful. I just find that the action set pieces could be a bit generic. You want to compare it. In the Force Awakens soundtrack, you have the song The Falcon, which has its own unique kind of cue, you know. Here's some of the action cues. They sound like they complement the movies, but definitely at times could feel a bit generic. And overall, I'll give the soundtrack an 8.8 out of 10.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, as well as tell your friends as well to join in on the action. Thank you.